Happy Friday! Whoop, 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 whoop. Guys, I don't know, I've been a little bit more excited with keto coffee. I've had keto coffee the past 2 days, and clearly I missed keto coffee. Like, Skinny Brew makes me like tunnel vision. I'm about to get it done. I had a great month last month drinking Skinny Brew. But keto coffee makes me like, she be turned up. She be, that's what keto coffee does that to me. Anyways, all right, so hi guys. We're here for Shan. Shan is going to interview me. She inboxed me and asked me some questions, and I was like, you know what? You're probably not the only person with all of these questions. And so what we're going to do is, if you're willing, we're going to hop on Zoom, and I'm going to allow you to ask me all of these questions so that other people can get the juice as well. And she was so willing. So guys, Shan is amazing, guys. She's been with us for a while. Ruby executive, soon to be diamond. I'm so excited. And so this is gonna be her laying in her theme soon anyway. So I'm just excited for her to jump out and do something beyond her comfort zone. And we're excited to share with you guys today. So light up the comments, give her some love, to participate, come into the room and all that jazz. And let's get it started. So I'm excited. I'm gonna hand it over to you.
All right. Hello, team. Thank you so much, Rachel. I really, really do appreciate you jumping on and willing to share and answer my questions and just give it to us all. So I really appreciate that. So what prompted this was your post about doing double diamond 3 times on 3 accounts and then going for your 4th. Okay, so that's where I'm going for my diamond. So that's prompted this. So I want to know a little bit about that. And for people who don't know, understand, like maybe our newbies, what does that mean? It's just an amazing accomplishment. So what does that mean?
So yes, double diamond. This is the 4th time. This is the 4th time I actually went double diamond. So I went up, the highest rank that I've ever did on multiple accounts was double diamond. So I took my mother-in-law's count to double diamond. My husband actually went all the way to presidential, and then of course ambassador on my 1.0. And then so I've done emerald 4 times on 4 different accounts because of the 2.0 spot. So double diamond is of course a leadership level. And what was so crazy, Shan, is I went double diamond on my mother-in-law's account when I was pregnant without internet in my house.
Oh, wow.
We had just moved into this house and our internet was not set up there, like it wasn't wired for internet, like the ground. So but a double diamond, you want to know what a double diamond is?
Yes.
So a double diamond is the 2nd leadership level, and right now it has less people on it, but before it had 43. It used to have 43 people on that chart, which is crazy to me. It's insane. I don't even know. It just be going. Sometimes people are like, how do you do it? It's like, I just keep punching. And if you keep punching, well, before you know it, one punch will take down the whole wall. That's the craziest thing. But that's the second leadership level with It Works.
Okay. And it's good that you mentioned about the charts, because even the new charts, like the new charts just give you so much of a I can do it. I know I can do this, because they have streamlined it so much. So it looks better, it looks obtainable, and it just helps you to be able to keep pushing. So just want to go into my questions that I was asking. So my first question was, on a day-to-day, on a typical day of Rachel, how many messages do you typically send out?
Okay, this is really rough for me because I am inconsistently consistent, okay? So the bulk of what I do is follow-ups, and I believe that everything I do takes me to the next thing, right? So for example, this morning, I sent about 25 messages, and I will send more messages throughout the day, but I will have an intentional time where I'm actually going to sit down and send about 50 to 100 messages because it is Friday on top of everything else. So on Fridays or heavy follow-up days, if I really feel like it, it's just bad. That's not bad. That's not good. But I'm able to work based on my windows, and then I have, So what I do is, and I'm going to answer your question about messages, but what I do is far beyond what a normal person does. So I'm like the 1%er on any given day, so that on my off days, I'm like a regular person. Do you get what I'm saying? So what I do on my worst day is better than what most people do on their best day. And so I hold myself to higher levels so that I am able to give myself that room for those kind of off days that I would say. People wouldn't call them off days for themselves, but I call them off days. So typically between follow-ups and new messages, I probably send to 50 to 100 messages a day.
Okay, per day.
Yeah, per day.
Okay. And then out of those messages, because sometimes we get our messages out and we get nothing. So out of your messaging, how many no's would you say comes back before you get your actual yes?
So it's not even a matter of no's, to be honest with you. Sometimes it is just my responses. And if I say I send about 50 to 100 messages a day, probably about 90 aren't replying, 80 to 90. And so maybe 10 to 15 quality conversations, like where people are interacting and engaging with me, or I'm asking them for another host a post. So they put up a post for me, and host a post allows me the opportunity to actually get people to reply to me, because normally, okay? So they comment on the post, and then I'm sending them an inbox, and I'll go back and bump the post. I think it's about quality, and when I'm looking at quality over quantity, I will remember to follow up. I'll say, hey, I sent you an inbox. Did you get it? Hey, I sent you a friend request. Did you want to go ahead and accept it? I actually go to the host of post to follow up with the person, so I actually interact and engage with them, especially when they're sent to me because they're interested in something that their friend posted, if that makes sense.
Yes. So in other words, so not necessarily no's, but something else following up behind the not right nows or the not responding, and then going to those that are actually responding and pushing through those with more people to talk to and
Correct.
interact with.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you about distributors. Do you find that your new distributors come from planted seeds, from like your messaging, your host to posting, your, just engaging with people, more come from your planting of seeds, or does it come from like your new people, like new, how they say new fish jump first? Which way do you find your new distributors come best?
9 times out of 10, it's a follow-up, hands down. 9 times out of 10, it is a follow-up. Very rarely do I ever find somebody on the spot. And if I can be completely honest, finding people on the spot who don't know anything about me and what I do can even be more challenging, because then it's like, oh, I didn't know what I was signing up for. People I've been talking to for a while, they've been seeing me all up and through their timeline, all up and through their stories. They know what I do. You know what I'm saying? So normally it's a follow-up of some type, or somebody who actually knows me and knows what I do. Normally. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not to get stuck on the when you're talking to distributors or messaging for distributors that nobody's responding, because you want to have, like you said, a good quality of people. So it's best to just kind of let it come with a follow-up, because a follow-up is going to be somebody that's, okay, I'm interested, I'm watching what she's doing.
Yep.
I want to know about this. Okay.
It gives time for me to invite them from exposure to exposure, or for them to see exposure to exposure on my page. You get what I'm saying? So they get more knowledge about it, even if they say they don't. I may follow up and be like, hey, got a new video, check it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you free to, if I sent it, would you watch it? Just going from exposure to exposure. And there's some people, guys, like legit, like 10, 15, 20 messages of not replying. So it's unfortunately a normal thing, but a lot of people have their own demons and their own things that they're fearful of, and it has nothing to do with you. It's all them.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you find that there is a particular message? Because we get messages and we share messages, we share scripts. Do you find that there's one in particular that like is your best, like your top, that you get more engagements with?
Are we talking about potential distributors?
Yes.
So for DTs, it's a matter of, number one, me being myself. So if I do get a script, I'm going to read it like it's me, right? So for example, like let's just say my favorite of all time is like, especially, so we're talking about an initial contact, like first ever.
Yes.
because host a post makes it easier for me because now I can just do a host a post for one, and then they've already said they're interested in making extra money.
Okay.
But if they comment on my stories, I can automatically inbox them, and they're essentially coming to me because they commented, they liked one of my stories, right? But if I'm reaching out, it's something as simple as like, hey, I know this is completely off the wall, but I think you are bomb, and that's the way I talk, right? I think you're bomb. Like, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Like, I would love to know what you think.
Okay.
I might not even do the whole you be good at what I do, because I don't know if she'd be good at what I do. I just know she cute. I know she posts well. Your lipstick popping. Let me send you a video. You tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm for real.
Okay. I've used that before, but do like the host of posting, the comment, the doing a post on the wall and letting them come. And I find that when they actually come and they kind of initiate, hey, what you're doing, then it kind of gives you a good pool of people that may or may not sign, but then you can go into, okay, would you put a post up for me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it still goes back post to posting. Okay, so when sending out a message, I think we kind of already talked about this. So when you first send out your message, this could be for DT or LC. When you first send out your message or first initial contact, and it's not a host to post, do you send it out to people that you may have been friends with or that you friended and did some kind of initial contact with, or something different, like this may be random? Does that make sense?
So yes, it does. So I'll either ask for a host to post, or I will ask them to be a model. So I'm actually gonna drop in the comment. I stole this from Stephanie Dunn a long time ago. She actually sent it to me on Instagram on accident like 4 years ago. And so I use it. I don't say girly, but this is what I love using this one. And I may even switch up the 4 different things that I have in there, or I'm gonna go to this one. I'm either asking for a host to post, or I'm asking them to be a model. Or one thing that I do, and this is why one thing that I do is I pay attention to people's pages, and this is why it's so important to keep your timeline clear and not have a whole bunch of in-work distributors on your page, because I'm able to see what my people are talking about. And as I see what they're talking about, I can inbox them based on their post. They'll tell me what they need. So that's something that I also do.
And I think you pretty much answered this as well, but people that like or comment on a post, do you go, and even if it's just a generic post or something, just random or personal post, or just what's on your wall, and people that like or comment, do you interact with them, or do you start any kind of initiation with them?
If I see reoccurring person that's not a distributor, I mean, it's kind of hard for me because being a top income earner with It Works, I have a lot of It Works followers. But if they're not an It Works follower and I see them constantly on my posts, I am going to intentionally engage with them. And I'm going to find something that I can inbox them about. So for example, I have one lady two that I specifically got from the Hypno Babies community. So we talk, but I make sure I talk about their babies, but I slipped in like, hey, like, you want to make some extra money? Like I would be, and I told her straight up, I said, I would be rude to not ask you if you want to make some extra money because I work from home full time with my kids. So, and she kind of blew me off, which is fine. We can keep talking about how cute our kids are. But then I'm gonna come back and be like, girl, would you like to try this coffee? Like, my energy is on point, and I know baby ain't sleeping. Like, come on, both of our kids are 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So it's just me having that genuine interaction with them. But I don't comment. I don't message. I'm not a robot. So just because people comment on my post or any post, like even interaction posts for me are really to get the algorithm popping, not for me to inbox all those people. So I make sure I go back, and I've really been doing better with it, going back and replying to every single person on the post, because that gets me seen by more people. Now, if there's somebody who says something particular on there, or again, it's the same people, then I may go over to their page, see if it's anything that I can inbox them about. Like, for example, this morning when I was engaging, there was a girl, her eyelashes, they were pretty. And so when I was engaging, I was like, oh my gosh, you were so cute. Where did you get your mascara? I really could care less where she gets her mascara, but they were cute, but I'm not going to buy her mascara. But that's a conversation. When she posted where she got her mascara, it was mascara that helps make your lashes look fuller and longer. Now I have a potential.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So tell me, how do you like building up your network and selecting your new friends and adding new friends and adding new people on your page? How do you go about doing that?
Because I have 5,000 friends right now, how I build my friends list is through Host to Post, because I'm at 5,000, like I'm capped. But, and this is again Facebook, but when it comes to just in general, I started off by going and adding everybody from high school, middle school. Yeah, I legit, when I first started, went and pulled out all of my yearbooks. I'm not playing. I pulled out my yearbooks from back in the day and just started looking people up by their name. And what I would do is I would look people up by their name. And if they were popular, I went to all the popular people in high school. And then I would go to their friends and start adding all their friends, because they were friends with all of my friends from high school. Excuse me. Now, if you don't like the people from high school, go to college. Find somebody who's popular in college and then go and add their friends. Find somebody who is excelling in life that you knew in the past, right? So it may be somebody from college that's now like a news broadcaster, right? So I'm going to go, because she's more than likely associated with other people who think highly of themselves and are well educated or flourishing in life. So I'm going to add people who are like her and similar to her, which is what I would like to have as customers or in my business. Also, I'll add people from groups that I interact with. So if I connect with somebody in a group, I will add them, but I'm just not going in there and adding random people. So let's just say like somebody makes a post in a group and I comment on it and we like, here or, connecting, I'm going to add them as my friend.
Okay. All right. So, we talked about Host to Post, and are you finding that Host to Post is really covering all bases? Everything, message posting, message posters and follow-ups.
So I don't do Host to Post every single day. Because my power is in my follow-up. And I've been doing this for so long that I have thousands of follow-ups. So it would be crazy for me to do Host to Post every single day, because I would be putting myself in a hole to where I'm not following up with new people, because my follow-ups lead to Host to Post.
Gotcha. Okay. And how do you go? For your follow-ups, are you saving them in collections? Or are you saving them? How do you have your follow-ups to go back to?
There's no order in my follow-ups, in all honesty. Okay. I scroll back. So I'll scroll back to, so like, for example, when I follow up today, I want to follow up quickly, right? So there's 3 ways that I follow up. I think 3. So number 1, I scroll. So I'll scroll down in my Messenger, not on my Facebook, but in my Messenger. Oh, this is good. So in my Messenger, I'll scroll back. So I may scroll back to today's April 3rd. So I might go back to March 1st, which is pretty deep. So I might go back to March 15th, because I send a lot of messages. So I may go back to March 15th. And then I will start following up with everybody since then. They'll get a, did I offend you? They'll get a, hey, how are you? Hey, are you okay? So it just depends based on what the conversation was like. Hey, I'm placing orders today and I'm excited to get you going. Hey, we got a 2 for $49 and you wanted some coffee. I got you, right? So those are my follow-ups there. Then I also use my timeline to follow up. When it comes to my timeline, this is why I use my timeline to do everything. I use my timeline to unfollow, to snooze, to delete. So I'm doing that every single day. And that allows me to see people I haven't seen in a while, which will remind me that I need to follow up with somebody, right? Based on the conversation. And then on top of that, I also use, if I do have, like if somebody says that they're going to order on a particular day, especially since they took away the reminders, I'll put a note in my Google Calendar. You can actually put a reminder in your Google Calendar to where you can use it, or you can use Connect. as well, but I don't use that to consistently to talk about it. But I'll use my Google Calendar, and I'll have an alert that'll pop up and say, hey, such and such, change such and such auto ship. Hey, such and such wants to order the cleanse today, so that I can follow up like that. Every once in a while I do lists, but that's primarily the three things that I do.
And in order to be able to do it like that, and I know that's your way, but in order to be able to do it, you first still have to, excuse me, have message. You have to interact. You have to have done something in order to have a list of people to actually follow up with.
Absolutely. And then that's a part of my daily work ethic.
Okay. All right. Do you, as far as your schedule, do you, and I think you pretty much answered this. I'm just going by my list, but your blocking of time, and I know you said you have some time that you are just consistently just focused on working your business, and then other time is just putting it into the nook and crannies of your day.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So every day is day one for me, period. Like every day. What I'm doing this week could be different next week. Like it's this legit. Like I have 3 kids and 202, 203, and a 13-year-old who, we ain't gonna talk about that. And I got a husband and a dog. So every day, and the baby's only 6 months, so we're still figuring it out, right? We're figuring out this life of 3. This life of 3 is a family. So what I'm doing this week, like literally could be different next week. But what I do is, why do I keep saying that? Oh, Jesus. What I do is getting up at 5 a.m. has changed my life because it has allowed me to have the opportunity to get a good 2-3 hours before my family wakes up. And I kind of talked about this on Monday Meetup yesterday, but that allows me to have time to have my alone time, get my mind together. If I do a workout, that's awesome, and the icing on the cake, and I'm kind of working that in, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'll have my workout set for the morning time. And then from there, I'm able to have an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to working and getting most of my stuff done to get my day started in a clear, level headspace before my house is chaotic, right? And then after that, so right now I'm just working with my son, and I fit things in. So like they know smoothie time, I'll go live consistently now, especially since those products are on BOGO or which I've actually sold a lot of them since I started going live on doing that. So consistency pays, but then also showing my family and who I am, because they see in that moment, it's not just me. Yes, my house is chaotic, and yes, I still do this from home, and I'm able to flourish and function in it in the midst of the chaos, right? And then also just showing the partnership between Brianna and I, because people buy people, not products. So then from there, so like having this meeting now, I'll block off my time. So if I have a time that I'm in my office, I will, so like I had from 11 to 1, like doing work things. Then from 12 to 2, I may 1 to 2, from 1 to 3 actually. So today I have a block from 1 to 3 where I'm back upstairs with my family. So I may do 2 hours on, 2 hours off. But then there are some days, like yesterday, I started at 3 and I was not done with meetings until 9 p.m. So it really just depends. And if I have little windows in between my meetings, I'll go up, I'll see my kids, I'll change a diaper, I'll look in their eyes, I'll watch some TV, I'll take Zayden outside for 5 seconds. So I'm able to prioritize my time based on, and then me just knowing, it's in my system now, but before I may not know it. So if I take Zayden outside, even in that moment, I'm going to record it and I'm going to show it, because that's what I get paid to do. I get paid to show my life and how I'm able to do these things from home. So I'm going to have my phone out and I'm going to take the pictures. I'm going to do the video. I'm going to post it. And then I'm going to go back to looking into my son's eyes, if that makes sense. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. So in a nutshell, being consistent, making sure you follow up with every person and having people to actually follow up with, sharing your life, and just pushing through, any obstacles, any no's. And like you said, they're not no's. They're just maybe not right now. And then if it is a no, just getting a host a post or something from it. And being consistent is pretty much the gist of running your business.
Yes, I post, I message, I follow up. Spiritual development, personal development, brave, patient, consistent. It's our mantra. It's just who our team is. It's what we teach. I post, I message, I follow up. And for real, I follow up to message, which is crazy, right? So I follow up, and that following up will lead to new messages. Like I just had a girl put up a host of posts. So now she's giving me my messages for the day as I'm following up, right? And then from there, I'm brave. I'm willing to reach out to any and everybody. I'm consistent. I show up even when I don't want to, and that's real. On days I don't want to, I still show up, because who shows up to a job all the time, or did pre-quarantine, that you didn't like or you didn't want to go to some days, but you still showed up? And so why wouldn't I show up for something that can give me 50 million times more than a job? And then I think the consistency, the bravery, and the patience comes from my personal and spiritual development. And so for me, having that time in the morning is important, but His grace is sufficient. So even if I don't, I may duck off and give myself 10 minutes just to go through my devotional and journal for a second, right? Before I go to bed, my goal is always, no matter what personal development, it was so crazy because yesterday I was like, oh, I want to do so much more personal development today. I'm trying to finish this book. I'm trying to do that book. But it was like, Rachel, you do way more personal development than you really, like, your goal was to do a day. Like, I'll read 3, 4, 5 pages in a book before I go to bed because I don't take my electronics into my bedroom. So I have my physical books on my bed that I'll read a few pages on before I fall asleep, which helps me really get into being sleepy. And then in the morning, whether I'm listening to a podcast, like we listened to a podcast this morning on the Power Hour, or whether I'm listening to a book or a sermon, I'm getting these different things in throughout my day. Like if I'm folding clothes, I'm not watching a movie unless I'm watching it with my husband or my kids. No, I'm not doing that. Like that. And you know, it's so crazy. And I'm just going to say this. I had a call with, she might be on here. I had a call with somebody the other day, and I said, you know, one of the biggest things that really rocks my socks is I'm able to be an inspiration to other people. But I think one of the biggest things I appreciate is being an inspiration to my husband and my kids, right? So knowing that my consistency helps my husband realize that he can be more consistent, right? And so being in a place to where my discipline shows, my kids, like, mom's working out. Oh, dad's working out. Oh, mom will dance freely. You know, you think about that, like, do you worship freely? Like, so things like that. And I thrive off of that kind of stuff, especially for people who are important to me. And so even in the midst of knowing that, even if I show up and just change one person's life, even if I post and it just encourages one person, if I post and it's times and one person likes, how you know that one person ain't my customer for the day? Like that don't matter as long as I'm bringing in something, right? And so, yeah.
Wow. That's all I have. And I thank you so much. I mean, I'm so grateful to be on this team, for all of the leaders that give us the power hours, the prayers. I mean, everything. I am so grateful for it all, and very thankful for your leadership. And that's all I really have. I don't know if there's any questions or anything in the comments, because I'm on my phone.
Well, I appreciate it. And yes, we have the best leadership in It Works, period. Okay. I don't care what nobody talking about. We have the best leadership team ever. The way they allow me to make God the focus of our businesses is a blessing, and how everybody comes together. And the only leadership for me is serving. And so us being able to serve within our team, outside of our team, and then also in the community is just so important for who we are and what we do. So is there anyone with any other questions before we hop off? Just when it comes to my day, you had some amazing questions. Thanks, Shan. That was awesome. It was good to put what I do in words, because sometimes it is kind of difficult to share with other people about what it is that I do. I mean, I think it's a matter of is I have decided that I made a decision. That's number one. I made a decision that no matter what, I was going to show up, because that's what I would want somebody to do for me. And I think that's just who I am. But you can become that person birds of a feather flock together. So you hang around some consistent people long enough, you'll become consistent. And just knowing that nobody's here to judge you. Like, we're not here to judge you. That's not how it works function. And if you've ever encountered somebody in it works that was judgmental, or you took it as if they were judgmental, maybe because of something that you were dealing with personally, that's not who we are. And so even if they didn't mean it, or I didn't mean it in that way, like, we apologize. I apologize, because that's not who we are. And so sometimes, we can live in a world of offense, and it blocks you from really getting the blessings that God intends for you. So, yeah. Okay. I got a question. When you say a bad day for you is a good day for others, talk more about that, please. Yes. So what others do, so what I do on a given day may seem like a lot. So when people are, because I'm not gonna lie, when I post my PMF, SCPD, I say 10 to 20 times, 50 messages, 25 new messages, 50 follow-ups, right? Spiritual development, personal development. On a given day, and my husband is my witness, and he would talk, but he's on daddy duty, so y'all would be able to hear him. No way. On a given day, the amount of things that I get done, and I was actually able to take a focal group, and maybe if somebody wants to talk about it, one or two people just one, if somebody actually wants to volunteer, I did a focus group, and I'm actually doing another one on Monday. But I did a focus group on last month, and I allowed 9 people to come into a group with me, and I shared with them on most days, because listen, some of the days I couldn't catch my breath. So most days I shared every single thing I did throughout the entire day. And it was like, so what's so crazy is, like, people have a 6 list. I can't make a 6 list. I do like a 50s list a day. Like, what I've done up into 12:30 right now would rock your socks. You'd be like, you did all of that and it's noon? Yes. So I hold myself to a higher regard when it comes to getting stuff done. I know that consistency compounds. Let me say it like that. So when you can become consistent in a certain thing, you're able to add more. And so through my consistency over these years, I've been able to add more. So where you may read maybe 4 or 5 pages from a book, I may read a chapter and a half. And I don't watch TV at all. I don't listen to the radio at all. Like, if I'm listening to something, it's praise and worship intentionally. Like, it's not because it's what's on the radio. I'm so intentional with my time, but it's just taking time to get there. So when I'm not intentional with my time, it's almost like a regular person's day in business. Does that make sense? Which is still good enough. Like, it's still good enough that you're doing something. Yeah. Yes, I get ignored, girlfriend. Yes, every day. A question: what advice would you give to someone like myself who doesn't have any children when it comes to sharing our stories, lifestyles, keep it interesting, and finding like-minded things to connect on? Yes. So there are a few people that you could follow to get some ideas. I don't really like giving a lot of people because that can be difficult. But some of the single people, what they share is like, what are your 5s? Like, and I think that's the biggest thing. Do you know what your 5 are? And maybe some people are willing to drop their 5 in the comments, but for me, clearly my 5 wouldn't matter because I'm married. But just to give you an example, like, my 5 is Jesus. It is, it's my fitness, it's marriage, it's motherhood, and it's empowering other people. That's what I do. That's who Rachel is, and it can change, right? So I would share my workouts. I would share my journaling for the day, or a scripture that I read. I would share, if there's one top income earner who doesn't have any kids that loves her dog, so she shares that. There's another top income earner that one of her 5 is that she lives in Florida. So once a week she goes to the beach and she shows that she's at the beach. You know what I mean? So what is it that describes you? And I think that's a big thing, because a lot of people don't know. You've been working so long that it's like, who am I? Like, what is it? I have a girl. There's one girl. Her name is Taylor Kaufman. No, it's not, because she got married. I'll have to figure out what her last name is. And what's her last name, Brian? Maybe he'll drop it in the comments. But she is single. She is married. So marriage is probably one of her things. But it used to be nursing, but she doesn't nurse anymore. And even though she talks about that in her story, it's not who she is anymore. She even, maybe just does PRN, but she had to figure out who she is. And so it may be fitness. It may be that you like makeup. It may be that, but you have to talk about it. Like, you come to my page and you have no question about what my 5 are. You always see my marriage. You always see my kids. You always see something about Jesus. You always see me edifying somebody on my page. And then you always see me talking about, you haven't seen me talking about working out, but I guess I need to talk about it a little more. But normally you always see me talking about working out. Quarantine, I'm getting it together. I was actually better working out before quarantine, which is sad, but yes, it's coughing now. Yes, okay. Yep, absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing that. It is coughing. Thanks, guys. Yes, you're welcome. All right, any other? I mean, actually have some time, so if you guys have some questions, feel free to ask. But yes, people should know exactly who you are. And I think the biggest thing, it's so crazy, I shared this morning and it's still up because God wanted me to share it right now. I shared this morning on prayer. And this is like the epitome of what we do. And a lot of people get it twisted because you're so focused on what other people think about you that or what people are going to think about you when you post. Because and I'm going to, husband, hit the comments and hype me up on this one and just let the truth be free. And don't be shame the devil and tell the truth. When I first started this business, I was 26 years old. And my husband hated that I took pictures all the time. Okay? Hated it with a capital H. Every time I would pull out my phone when I was doing something, he was like, why would everybody don't need to see everything? We don't talk like that. Yeah, I don't talk like that. But he was like, everybody don't need to see everything that we doing. He was like, stop doing, we always take a picture of that. Like, what are you doing, right? Is he telling the truth right now? Okay. Come on, tell the truth for me, husband. So I'm going to read the scripture to y'all real quick. I'm waiting for Brianna's truth to come through in the comments. But in Matthew 5:13 through 16. Matthew 5:13 through 16. It says, let me tell you why you are here. This is the Message translation. You don't yell. I didn't say that you yell. I just said that that's what you said to me. I corrected myself. Forgive me. It says, let me tell you why you are here. You are here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, I love Message translation, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness and will end up in the garbage. Here's another way to put it. You're here to be a light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. That's a mic drop. So while you're out here not sharing your life, sharing this gift that God gave you, sharing this opportunity to be in the midst of this, you're doing a disservice and you're kind of being disobedient. Especially when God is giving you this platform to share his goodness. Yep, one more question. How did you grow as a leader and embrace your trial and error? Knowing that you've grown since when you started, how did you build that confidence, especially not having an upline? How did you come into your own in this business? Embrace your trial and error. I think for me, in all honesty, somebody asked me this before, and I can't remember how I answered it, because it's really a part of who I am. I'm resilient. And so are you willing to take on the identity of being resilient? You get to decide. And I decided that I'm resilient. And so nothing will ever take me out. I remember it started when I was a kid. when I was pregnant. I got pregnant when I was in high school. And I don't know, I made a decision. I don't know if I made the decision before this or whatever, but I was like, well, God, if you brought me to it, you'll see me through it. And when I say God brought me to it, it may have been my own mistakes, but I know that Romans 8:28, God uses all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And so I believe that I'm called. I believe I'm a child of God. And so no matter how much I mess up or screw up, he means to use it for my good, but I have to keep going. And so that's when I went and I applied to all the places, pregnant and all. And I got into the school I wanted to go to. I was headed to Howard University and decided to stay home to be closer to my family. But I excelled. I graduated with my bachelor's in 3.5 years. I pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay. But anyway, there's any Greeks on here. But I pledged Delta while a single mom, and I still graduated in 3.5 years. I went on to get my master's in professional counseling. I was an overcomer. I decided that's who I was. Anything that came my way, I am an overcomer and I am resilient. So I may cry, I may kick, I may scream, I may be a hot mess, but God put me in this situation in order for me to overcome it. You know, the whole cliche thing, God put this mountain in front of you to show that it could be moved. That's my life. I remember when I got a mass in my breast and we went through that process. Brianna and I were just newly married. And then on top of that, we were trying to have a baby. And I had a mass and I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. I called my pastor and I was like, you know, if this is what God has for me and this is the walk that he wants me to take, then we're going to take it. Like, we're going to take it. And, you know, my grandmother is a breast cancer survivor. And so it is something that does run in our family. And so as much as in that moment, it was like, oh my God, like what's going on? It was like, no, God, I trust you. I trust that what you've done it before, all the different things. You healed my grandma from cancer. You healed my grandfather from prostate cancer. We have family that were terminally cancer. Like, there's nothing is too hard for you. So when you know who God is for real, and that was before we had a relationship like this, but I knew God, I knew where God had taken people who I know God through. And so I'm like, if you love me too, so you're going to take me through it too. And then even when it came to the infertility thing and me clinging on with people who had faith similar to my own or stronger faith. And in my weakest moments, I remember I would text Aaron and I'd be like, oh my God, like another negative pregnancy test. Like I cannot. And sometimes Brianna didn't even know that I had negative, that I was taking tests. But because I was connected with somebody who had a faith that was stronger than me and somebody who was more connected, I was able to make it through. And she would send me a scripture. She would send me a song. And because she was going through the same thing and she was encouraging herself. And so God takes you through things because he's meant to help encourage somebody else. And so even now in this time, when people reach out, when they're dealing with infertility, I remember how it felt. I love seeing time hop and seeing myself. I take pictures. I took pictures of me and when I had a miscarriage, like past the baby on Mother's Day. And I was in the hospital. Brianna and I, we didn't go to church on Mother's Day because I was in the ER having a miscarriage, going in and having an ultrasound and they tell me there's no heartbeat, right? And then we didn't even tell our mom. And so they came over and we just said that I was sick. And so they came over and it was just like, oh, I don't feel well. And I'm in excruciating pain. And I just lost my child that I've been desiring, right? But I knew that God was with me and at the right moment, he would give me what God has given me. So how selfish of me to be sitting here with 2 kids that God gave me and not open up my mouth. And then on top of that, I get to stay home with them full time. And my husband is home here with me even before quarantine. So how many of y'all have overcome things and you're not willing to open up your mouth because of guilt, because of shame? I am not what's happened to me. Yes, I was a single mom, but I'm not a single mom anymore. Yes, I was a teenage mom, but I'm not a teenage mom anymore. That was a Rachel from the past, and I learned from her. And so I'm here to encourage somebody else that your past or the situations that you've been through is not who you have to be today. But when you continue to walk those things out, you continue to walk out the fact that you didn't close out the month. You continue to walk out the fact that you were going for a promotion or that you lost a rank. When you continue to walk those things out, then you're not walking in the purpose that God has for you. And so that's what I tell myself. when me and Jesus be having our time. And I always, you know, reading the Bible and reading things like Psalms and hearing David lament has helped me realize that I'm supposed to talk to God about these things. I'm supposed to. Like, I'm supposed to give it to the one that created me. I'm supposed to give it to the one who allowed me to be in this situation. He may not be the reason, but he allowed it. So he's going to give me what it is that I need in order to get out of it. And he promised me, as long as I keep moving, that he'll see me through. That's what his word says. So as long as he can't see me through when I won't get up and move my feet. So I have to get up and move my feet. And there are some days where I don't feel like it. So guess what I do? I go post old stuff. I will go and find, I can't think today, but I'm not going to be consistent. I'm going to go, I look through my memories and grab something that looks cute, put a new picture with it and post it. And maybe it won't connect the way it's supposed to today. But on my best day, I'm shining. I'm going to shine like never before because my worst day is coming. And I'm still going to be consistent in that. So hopefully that was a lot, but hopefully that was helpful. All right, I'm just trying to see if there's any other thanks, guys. I have my days, y'all. I have my days. I'm low-key feeling like, and I feel a blog post coming, but I think in December, I may have been battling depression. I think so. I may have. It's crazy. And this is somebody who's psychology, professional counseling, but I kept swimming. My house was awful, y'all, but I kept showing up. No matter what, I kept showing up. I had days, I was in my room more than often. You ask Brian, I just had a baby 2 months ago. My kids were sick. I was in and out the ER. I had to stay in the hospital with my 2-month-old, and we were doing all the things right. Like, what are you talking about? My husband was leaving for basketball, having practices, leaving me home. I was a single mom of 3, having to go get my son from school. Like, all these different things. We washed our hands. We disinfected everything, and we still ended up with RSV, flu, maybe corona. We don't know what we had in our house. I got a fever, and I'm hopping on, getting on calls and showing up and doing different things. I just never keep, unless I'm dead, like, come on, I'm in the hospital on calls. Like, why not? What am I just sit here? I'm not gonna sit here and watch Finding Nemo. Like, Zaire ain't even old enough to watch it. Like, it'd be different if I was in there with Zayden. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and watch benign stuff that doesn't make me happy. Like, helping other people makes me happy. Seeing other people win makes me happy. I know that if enough people win, well, first of all, it don't even matter if enough people win because all of my needs are supplied. Philippians 4:19, period. Like, all of my needs are supplied, and I know where my help comes from. And when you realize that, you serve to serve. And when you serve to serve, you grow to love it. And when you grow to love it, it changes your life. And that's where I am. Yep. Awesome. So if nobody else has any other questions, come on, y'all. I got me emotional today. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much, Shan. You're so awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. And I can't thank you enough for everything. Like, just your whole transparency, just being open and just giving everything to us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all of our leaders. And one thing I did want to say was that when you were saying about the team, I know I have reached out to team members, and it's so true when you guys tell us that you're in business for yourself, but definitely not by yourself. I have reached out to, I don't even think they're my sidelines, to be honest, but people that I've just connected with, that I, just found something to connect with them with, and I've asked questions, they've shared. Everybody has been so open, and that's why I really love the team. Everybody is always open, always willing, always to just give you whatever it is that you're asking for. And like you said, not to be offended by anybody if they don't message you back or something doesn't come off right. It's something that you're dealing with, within yourself. And so it's not to be offended by anyone, because everybody is so open. And if you have a question right away and you don't get an answer from that person, just go to another person, because everybody is around. Everybody is there. So, and I appreciate that. And I thank you for doing this with us.